Guys, I actually pick up my Zeekr 7X all-wheel drive EV tomorrow, literally tomorrow. And I just realized that you can't buy Zeekrs in most of Europe and the UK. I'm kind of surprised to see that. Now, I knew you couldn't buy them in the UK, but I didn't realize that in Europe you couldn't buy them in most places. Thus, the reason why Zeekr doesn't sell many cars in Europe, but that's about to change. In fact, we have some pretty good dates here on what Zeekr are planning on doing in Europe and the UK and when Zeekr cars will be arriving. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. You can already buy the Zeekr 001, which Australians would love to own, in Europe. You can't get that in Australia, of course, but you can get the Zeekr 7X and the Zeekr 009 and the Zeekr X in Australia, and soon the Zeekr 007 GT and the Zeekr 8X SUV. I believe the Zeekr 9X is coming as well. So there's going to be 6 models of Zeekr vehicles in Australia within probably the next 12 months' time, which is pretty awesome for us in Australia. I mean, these are great cars, obviously. That's the reason I've got one, or at least I'm getting one tomorrow. But Europe, what about you guys? Well, after 2 years in startup mode in Europe, Geely's premium EV brand Zeekr is going to enter the region's 5 largest markets by 2027, meaning it'll expand its geographical coverage in Europe to 70% of the population. Zeekr debuted in Sweden, though, at the end of 2023. They expanded to some other northern European countries around that area, and they haven't done much yet. They're not in Germany yet, not in the UK yet, which is obviously the biggest, or France, which is the biggest car markets in Europe. They sold 3,600 cars through October, according to figures from market analyst Dataforce. And I mean, you can imagine they're going to sell a lot more than that when they're in these other countries. Zeekr is going to begin their expansion in Europe in Germany in the first half of next year. And then they will apparently end up in France, Italy, and Spain within 6 to 8 months. So you're probably looking at about, well, this time next year, you guys in France, Italy, and Spain will be able to buy Zeekr EVs. And Zeekr will then be coming to the UK in 2027. So why are they not in the UK already, considering the UK is right-hand drive, Australia's right-hand drive, we have their EVs. Why on earth do you guys not in the UK get them already? Apparently, Zeekr have not homologated their EVs for Europe in right-hand drive yet. So the stuff they've got to do to get them to be available, to be legally sold in the UK, and that's going to take them some time. So you can basically thank UK regulations for you guys not getting them until 2027. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You're probably looking at 18 months away, but still, it's a bit of time, isn't it? It's a bit frustrating for some people who are really keen to get a Zeekr EV. Who is leading this European expansion? Well, interestingly, it's a BMW veteran, someone who's been at BMW for quite a while. They joined Zeekr as the Chief Commercial Officer in January 2023 and have been promoted to the Acting CEO in January this year. Zeekr has a direct sales model in Sweden and the Netherlands, but in Belgium, Denmark, and Norway, they established national sales companies that operate through private dealers. So they're basically selling through distributors in those countries. In smaller markets like Bulgaria, Croatia, Greece, Romania, Slovenia, and Switzerland, it has private importers. Zeekr actually already has a national sales company in France where it will operate with dealers. For Germany, Italy, Spain, and the UK, they haven't decided yet on whether or not they're going to sell directly or whether or not they'll operate through existing dealership networks. Probably more likely through existing dealership networks, I'd guess. They could sell potentially through Volvo dealerships. That would probably make the most sense for Zeekr, although they do have some rival cars there, so that might not work. I don't know. Zeekr's car sales volume in Europe was up 124% through October, with the 7X midsize SUV accounting for 2,049 sales. The X compact SUV had 900 sales. So from what I can tell, they only sell the 001 in a couple of countries. It's predominantly the 7X that makes up for the bulk of their sales. Through September, Zeekr's global sales were 143,600. Most of those were in China. Sales in 2024 for the entire year were 222,000, which was an 87% increase from 2023. Here's some interesting stuff, which is Also very similar in Australia. When Zeekr started selling the 7X in Australia, they said that more than 70% of their orders were from people who had never driven an EV before, and most of them had previously been coming from a BMW, Audi, or Mercedes vehicle. So interesting, getting people from ICE, from internal combustion cars, to an EV, and particularly from premium brands. Kind of interesting that that's the segment of the market that Zeekr cars have actually appealed to. And in Europe, it's the same thing. After 2 years and about 5,000 total sales in Europe, Zeekr says its customers have mainly come from, they've been former owners of internal combustion models made by Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz. So that's the kind of segment that Zeekr buyers are coming from. After deciding to switch to its full electric model, some of these customers chose our value proposition. We think that at the same level of equipment, Zeekr models offer the best value for money in the premium segment. And I think they're correct. So what are the prices for Zeekr cars in Europe right now? Well, Zeekr's current range in Europe is EV only. They don't have any plug-in hybrids, which they will probably soon though. They have the compact, the X, and that's priced from 35,000 euros. They have although the X does cost a lot more than that in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, it's 47,000 euros. The 7X, Zeekr 7X, starts at 53,000 euros and is a top price of 63,000 euros, depending on what market you're in. So it's a lot more expensive to buy a Zeekr 7X in Europe than Australia. In fact, way more expensive. The price is in a completely different ballpark. The base model Zeekr 7X in Australia is actually, it's about 57,000 Australian dollars, which is approximately 35,000 euros. So it's like 18,000 euros cheaper in Australia than what it is in Europe. The key reason for that, of course, is, well, shipping. That costs a bit more to get to Europe. There's tariffs. There's a 10% tariff on all cars that get sold in Europe that are not manufactured in Europe. And then there's the extra tariffs on top of that, which are the Chinese EV tariffs, which add more to the cost that Zeekr have to pay. I think that's an additional 20%. So you're looking at 30% tariffs, and then you're looking at an extra 5% for shipping. It really adds to the cost. There is also the Zeekr 001, the shooting brake, and that model has been launched by Zeekr in Europe as well. That costs from 55,000 euros up to a total price of 73,000 euros, depending on what market you're in. Apparently, the 007 GT, which is slated to come to Australia within the next 12 months, is going to be the next addition to the product lineup for Europe, which is an electric wagon. Perfect for Europe. Absolutely perfect for Europe. I think that would sell so well in Europe. It's a great looking electric station wagon. And also, there is the Zeekr 9X, which is the kind of a large SUV. That vehicle, I believe, is going to be Zeekr's next global car model, the 9X. Got a total of 40,000 pre-orders in China in 2 hours after its launch. So that could be a potentially popular car in Europe. That, though, is a plug-in hybrid. It's sort of an EREV, but anyway, that car has massive EV-only range. It's got well over 400 kilometers of EV-only range. So for a hybrid, it's a pretty amazing car. I believe it's got 500 kilowatt fast charging, just pretty spectacular. Now, the reason for that massive range is it has a 55 kilowatt hour battery, and the long-range version gets a 70 kilowatt hour battery. It has a pretty staggering performance time. I mean, this is a car that's like as big as a Toyota Land Cruiser. It's like 5.3 meters long. It can do 0 to 100, 0 to 62 miles an hour in 3.1 seconds. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? Are you in Europe? I know there's a lot of Zeekr fans in Europe. A lot of you have been saying, well, when are you coming? Hopefully this kind of clears things up on when Zeekr vehicles will be available in the biggest markets in Europe. I think they'll sell quite well there. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.